Mark, I did have a question for you. I have a data background, and I actually have a sales background as well. So the fact that you work so closely with the sales team is really intriguing to me because I've been on both sides of that coin. And so I just had a question about really how you prepare like a pre-sale support for a salesperson to go into a meeting. Like what do you have access to in that period of time? And what are you able to do with that? Because when I worked in sales, I worked in a very specific industry. So it was a little bit easier because you know the industry, you have one product you're selling, but technology is such a broad industry and you could get into so many different niches. I'm just really interested in how you prepare for that and what you have to prepare for that.
Yeah, that's actually a great question, Erica. Lovely to meet you, and I'm glad you're able to join today. So I actually have an unwritten rule that if I get invited to a customer-facing call just out of nowhere, then I don't accept it until I've spoken with the account executive, figured out what's the objective of this meeting, what's the agenda, who's the customer, what's the history. I've made the mistake before, both as a partner and as a Tableau SE, of coming into a call and really realizing, I'm not prepared for this. And so what I'll do is, generally speaking, I love to have a detailed call with the account executive, depending on the customer and the deal, the size of the deal. I don't mean necessarily from a dollar perspective, but more about complexity of the solution. Then, that call could be as short as 15 minutes. For an enterprise customer, it's going to be a lot longer because I cover everything from SMB, commercial, and enterprise. There's a real broad spectrum there. We use Quip internally, and we use Slack for messaging. I essentially live in Quip, so I'll ask the account executive to share their notes in Quip, and very often those notes can be extremely copious and complex. So often I'll ask them to actually curate a copy of those for me, so that I don't have to wade through 1,000 lines of someone's detailed meeting notes. And then I'll have the call with the account executive. And what I'm trying to find out is, what's the background here? What's this call about? What are the main question for me is, what's the problem? Before I worked for Tableau, it was why Salesforce, why analytics. It's more focused now, why Tableau or why CRM analytics, because I cover both. But why analytics, you could say. And then also I'll actually perform my own research. So I'd love to know who's going to be in the call, what's their role in this conversation. I use LinkedIn an awful lot, checking on people's backgrounds. I love to go into a call as soon as I find I have something in common with them, whatever the case may be, and I'll research their business. If it's a big conversation, and again, a larger commercial or enterprise customer, I'll actually go to the point often of reading news articles and find out what's been happening in that industry, what's been happening with that customer. A lot of it does depend on the size of the customer, the size of the opportunity. There are also strategic opportunities, and how we define those is, it can be a small opportunity, but there's a roadmap. So this is an opportunity to deliver some value, show value within an organization, develop a champion or champions, and then begin to grow the Tableau footprint. And I don't just say that from a sales perspective, Erica. I could not sell Tableau if I wasn't passionate about it. I have to believe in the solution, and I will not recommend it if it is not a fit. In fact, once I actually was in a discussion with a customer who wanted to purchase Einstein Discovery Machine Learning. Their data didn't support it. The use case didn't support it. And I had a very frank conversation with that customer at the risk of upsetting an account executive. This was as a partner. And I said, look, it's just not a fit for you. It's not going to deliver for you. Let's look at some other options, which I came up with. And, David, to your point, at that point, I became a trusted advisor, because they thought, you know what, you're not just selling something, you're giving me sound advice based on facts, not based on remuneration on my perspective. And from there, we actually began to help sell CRMA. So that's a long answer to a short question, but I hope that's helpful.